Want you to stick with us here in just a few minutes. A good friend of the program, a voice that you know well, is going to join us at 2:30.
It'd be good to talk to him again.
Just an unbelievable story. And we will be beating up on Kansas City, Missouri here just a little bit, because when you hear why our friend has been summoned to court, this is not in Mission Hills. This is not in Leawood. He has been summoned to court.
Oh, he's already on the line.
In Kansas City.
Go ahead and tell the story. He's calling in right now.
Because he built a treehouse for his autistic son. And I'm looking at a photo of the treehouse. It looks like any treehouse that your dad, over the weekend, you and your dad go out and you're going to do this project and you're going to put a treehouse up. My cousin had one of these growing up.
Okay.
It is a very simple, platformed, small treehouse in his yard in an area of Kansas City that has no HOA.
I won't give the neighborhood, but not far from downtown.
I mean, he first told me about this, I think it was about a week and a half ago. He said, "No, you're not going to believe this. I've been called to court over my treehouse."
Let's bring in Jason Nivens, formerly with 98.9 The Rock. Hello, Jason.
Hello, my friend.
Yeah, boy. What's happening?
It's good to hear your voice, man.
We've all been covering this town for many, many years. And you talk about the neighbors and the neighborhoods that have the blight and the drug houses and you can't get anything done. The fact that you have a public hearing zoning sign attached to this for a treehouse is shocking.
It's wild, man. It's wild. It's wild out here in the streets of downtown Kansas City and the West Side. I've titled this one "A Tree House Grows in the West Side." Also titled "Big Changes Happening in Kansas City in the 2026. Chiefs are moving to Kansas. Royals moving downtown. World Cup's coming to Kansas City. And Jason Nivens' treehouse."
Tell me, first of all, you built this for your kiddo.
Yeah, so I've been pretty open and honest about my son. He's on the spectrum. He's highly verbal autistic. And for those of you that have neurospicy children, when they get an idea, they just can't let go. They're just like a rabid dog. And so he just bugged me because he had saw one in the neighborhood somewhere for a treehouse. And so 3 years ago, I think, I did it. I made it for him. It's more like a crow's nest. It's only about 4 feet by 4.5 feet, so it's not like anyone's sleeping up in it, And it's barely 8 feet off the ground because it's a Bradford pear. If you know trees, those are real fragile trees. And so towards the end of last year, I got a notification that I have an illegal structure on my property. And there's a couple other things as well that I'm going through, but this is the one that really stands out to the treehouse. And so I called the individual, the inspector that leveled the complaint against me, and I said, "Okay, who do I talk to argue my case?" And they said, "We don't know. I don't know." I'm like, "You're telling me I have an illegal structure on my property, but you don't know who I'm supposed to talk to argue my case?" And she goes, "Try this person." So I called this person down at City Hall, left them a voicemail. They go, they call me back and they go, "Hey, I'm not the guy. Try this guy." So I get put over to this other guy, and I'll protect his name and I'll change it to Dustin, not with a J, but with a D, Dustin. And I'm explaining to him the whole thing, and he sends me an email, says, "Yeah, this is where you go to file an appeal." Okay? So I filed the appeal. I paid $518 to do it, to go in front of the Board of Zoning. And in the interim, I started doing a part-time gig over at Woodyard Barbecue, and one of the owners, Frank, he's an awesome dude. He's a lawyer. I was showing him everything. And he's like, "Dude, they kind of got you on this, because in the vocabulary of where a treehouse can sit in Kansas City, Missouri's codes and Board of Zoning, you technically have it, even though it's off the street, even though it's behind a concrete retaining wall, behind 2 fences. It's in the area where it's not behind your house." And so he's like, "What you need to do is file a variance." And I'm like, "Okay, but they told me an appeal." He's like, "Nah, they told you wrong." And I'm like, "Well, that was a $518 mistake right there." So I'm sitting in front of the board in January, and I'm going through it, they're going through it all, and we're talking. And I go, I realized that I filed an appeal, but I should have filed a variance. And they were like, "Yes, absolutely." And I'd heard one of the board members say that they had been on the board for 30 years. And I asked her, I said, "In your 30 years on this board, how often do you had treehouse cases?" And she said, "This is my third one."
Third.
So, third. In 30 years.
So hang on, Jason. If you had built the house in the backyard, you would have been perfectly fine. Is that correct?
Well, you've been to my house, Scott, right?
Many times.
How far.
Yes.
how far it sits back off the street. Like when a lot of the West Side was the Wild West for a long time, and now of course it's become cool, and they're building McMansions left and right and all that. So like the setbacks are totally off everywhere, and the setback is like the vocabulary they use about how many feet off the street it's supposed to be. We don't really have a backyard. We're built into the hillside. It's a California hill home, so it's like 75% underground. We don't even have a front yard because like it's all rocks, and so we have decks in the treehouse for the kids. So I guess if I would have built it in the back tree by the alley, that would have been fine because it's in the backyard. Categorically, that by definition, but that's not where he wanted it. Because he wants to like wave goodbye to us when we leave. Like we do the shave and a haircut 2-bit thing when we drive down the hill. And I was recording, by the way, new season, Kansas City with Jason Niven's podcast is out now. I was recording an episode yesterday, and I walked home, and as I'm coming up the hill, there's my kids up there like yelling at me like, "Daddy's home!"
So what happens? What happens now, Jason?
Okay, so then I got arraigned a couple of weeks ago.
Arraigned?
I got arraigned for the treehouse because I didn't abate I didn't abate the illegal structures because I applied for my variance and I had to have a pre-meeting, and in that pre-meeting I was never sent a link for me to reschedule my pre-meeting, right? And so in the time frame, I didn't abate the legal structures within like a certain amount of time, even though time was never discussed at all in any of my situations. And so even though I have at the end of this month, a variance hearing to discuss my treehouse, amongst other things, I still was called in front of a judge at City Municipal because I didn't abate my property.
Can I ask you, Jason, did the judge look at you and say, "Are you kidding me? What are we doing?"
No, we got dare I say we got a little chirpy with one another because there's also like this discussion about a fence of mine that supposedly is illegal, but because it's not 48 inches in a certain spot, again, in the setback, but it's on the hillside. And so he was like focused on that. And I was like, no one even talked to me about the treehouse or about the fence except for the initial illegal structure I got into last year. And so we went back and forth, and he just said, well, we're going to schedule you for end of June after your variance hearing, and we'll see what comes about of it. I was like, okay, great.
Oh, my God. How much has this cost you up to this point?
So I mentioned the $518 to do the appeal, which I should have filed for a variance, and that was another $277. I'm not good with math. I think that's nearly $900, so almost $1,000 I've spent thus far. And then, of course, like, because I have to go in front of a board, I have to go in front of the judge. I've got to juggle things with my wife and the kids and watching them. And, can Meemaw come up and take care of it, keep an eye on them? And, yeah, so.
Well, Jason, send us the name of the rat, and Dana and I will come by tonight and pop some tires.
This has to come back to one of the neighbors, does it not? They just don't like your treehouse.
So here's the thing. And I put this in my post. It's one of two people that did this. It was either one, the developers behind us who I've known since grade school or in high school, who are building, or one of the people that are building, the teams that are building the McMansions. And when they first got started, they were like, hey, would you mind cutting down your trees to improve our view? You can imagine my wife's response to that. You guys know my wife. I can't say it on the radio with you guys because of FCC, but you guys know my wife. You know what she said.
Yes.
And then, or more likely, and this is what I think, it's the individual who lives nearby, who I've talked about before, had a restraining order on because he pulled a gun on me, who yells profanities at me and my children, and constantly, and this is the thing that I think bothers me the most. Like, yes, this has been an eye-opening experience, and I always try to look for, like, the positive things. Kansas City has a policy where you can anonymously report things to 311. And that's cool. Like, if you don't want to get in a tinkle match with your neighbor, I understand that, but there's no back-end identification. So anybody can go around the city and just be like, I don't like this person's house, and file an anonymous complaint against them.
Yep.
So if you have an individual that's mentally unstable, which I believe my neighbor to be, a couple doors down, then he's just going out there. Because in the same time I was dealing with this, the inspector who I've gotten to know in the neighborhood, we've exchanged numbers, we're on a first-name basis. She's like, hey, I saw something else, another thing against me for, like, illegal wood piling. You guys know I got a problem with wood.
Jason, they are trying to run you out of your own neighborhood.
Yep.
Bar none, that is what this is about.
I mean, but I've been up there for 16 years, so it's like, and most of my kids were born in the house. Like, we're not going anywhere, you know. So, but here's the thing that I think is pretty like wild with it all. Like, you're going to run out of things to anonymously report me about because I've gone against all of them.
You know what? You know what's next? And we got to get to break, but they're going to get you on that outdoor bar and accuse you of having a
you and your
an alcohol
moonshine
establishment.
Hey, you know what? There's one thing I do love about Kansas City history. It's the proliferation during Prohibition of adults making their own decisions. And if I got to carry that torch next, I will.
You fight the man. Nivens, you fight the man, and you let us know how it works out.
I will.
All right,
Thanks,
be well,
guys.
my friend.
Be well, friend.
Yeah.
You take care. Jason Nivens, 913-586-7798.
A treehouse. I want to know if you had this happen. Any city where you're listening, have you had the neighbor call and now you're taking down the playhouse?
913-586-7798 here on Dana and Parks.